Welcome back, Patricia Traina. She covers the Giants, part of the Sports Illustrated Network family. GiantsCountry.com is where you can see her work, and also she hosts the Locked On Giants podcast every single day. Follow Patricia on Twitter at Patricia_Traina. Patricia, hope you and everyone in your life is safe and well with what is going on. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Same to you. I hope everybody's safe by you guys as well.
Yeah, at least associated with this show, we have been lucky so far. Listen, you can question some of the things Dave Gettleman's done here in the last 2-3 years, but the guy also can't catch a break. I mean, you know, it's one thing to have a cornerback have a disappointing season. It's another thing to get charged with 8 felonies. I mean, that's a bad day.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. It was, I don't want to say stunning, but it was just, it came out of the blue. And, you know, here the Giants are, they're trying to turn over a new leaf. They're trying to get back on the winning track. And this was just a huge, huge unexpected blow and very disappointing to say the least.
And obviously, we don't know how this is going to end up, but it's pretty likely he's not playing for the Giants anytime soon. I guess just how, when the Giants are a team, they're not going to put up with something like this. I mean, no matter how this comes out, he's pretty much done as a Giant, right?
I would think so. I know the Giants have as do all teams, generally don't like to give up on talent. But with that said, you know, you've got to let the legal process play out. And from what I'm reading, these charges could carry as many as 10 years. I'm sorry, a minimum of 10 years per count. And, you've got to let it play out. But I would say it's probably not a stretch to think that DeAndre Baker has played his last game as a Giant.
Yeah, I don't see how he plays for them. Never mind anybody else, quite frankly, unless the charges end up getting dropped, to be brutally honest, talking the Giants with Patricia Traina. There are some cornerbacks out there. You know, I mean, the Seahawks now, obviously, they acquired Dunbar. And for those that don't know, DeAndre Baker, Quentin Dunbar, the Miramar, Florida police, they want to talk to both of them. They want to arrest them because they're charged with 4 counts of armed robbery and 4 counts of aggravated assault. Apparently, they brandished some guns and robbed some people at a party Wednesday night over on that side of the state. And Dunbar met with the Seattle media yesterday. And I mean, how bad is that? But there are some cornerbacks that are still out there. I mean, do you think the Giants would entertain veterans like Aqib Talib or even bringing Eli Apple back?
Well, Eli Apple, if I'm not mistaken, I think I thought he signed some. No, I'm sorry. I thought he signed and then he reneged. But the guy I would keep an eye on is Logan Ryan. I know the Jets had expressed some interest in him. And, he's still out there. And I could see the Giants maybe going in that direction unless they feel that these young corners they have are going to be able to, cut the mustard. But with that said, we saw how these young corners struggled last year. But if I'm Dave Gettleman, I make a call to Logan Ryan and see if I can get him in on, like a short-term deal, kind of like what they did with James Bradbury. And this way it allows for the young kids behind them to kind of, develop and come up through the system and get their feet on solid footing.
All right. As this offseason goes for the Giants, and anybody with new coaches seems to have, and a new coordinator coming in, this seems to be a taxing situation on a team. But Saquon Barkley came out earlier this week and how much he's learning. Do you buy that the virtual system's working well for the Giants right now?
Well, I mean, time will tell. Obviously, you have to get on the field and you have to do it. And one of the things I know always made me cringe when a player talked about it was, I'm taking mental reps. Mental reps are only good up to a certain point. At some point, you've got to go out there and take the physical reps and show that you master those as well. With that said, it helps if you know what you're doing. You don't want to just go out there and look around and go, okay, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? What man am I supposed to block? So I think that is what the Giants are focusing on right now in these virtual installs. And Joe Judge, when he spoke to the media the other day, said that that was coming along, and he was overall pleased with how the players have responded to that.
Patricia Traina covers the Giants for GiantsCountry.com, which is part of the Sports Illustrated family. She also hosts the Locked On Giants podcast every single day. Follow Patricia on Twitter at Patricia_Traina. What are you hearing from the Giants organization about this season from a coronavirus standpoint? Like, we could see where they're obviously the Giants and Jets, the Bears, some of the California franchises, between being a coronavirus hotspot and some of the limitations that have been put on in those areas by the governors. I mean, Patricia, I don't know if the Giants and Jets can be playing at home and working out at home in August and September. I know it's a long time from now, but what is it that you're hearing? What is the vibe? Are these teams going to have to get up and leave, if you know what I mean, for a short period of time to get their season started?
That certainly has come up. That's not a possibility I think we can rule out. Obviously, Joe Judge was asked about that, and he said he would prefer to be at home, because why not? You have everything
Sure.
you need in your building. But with that said, I can't see the NFL, allowing, say, those states that haven't been hit as hard by the coronavirus to open up, and those that have and who are still under stay-at-home orders to just sit there and say, sorry, guys, you're out of luck. What I do think is going to happen as far as the season goes is I would be very, very surprised if we see fans in the stands. I just don't see how that can work until there is a vaccination, or at the very least medication that's been proven safe to deal with this nasty bug that's just, popped up in our lives. But I do think that all attempts are going to be made to have a season. I don't know if it'll be a full season, but there's going to be, contingency plans put in place. And I think they're going to explore every possibility before they say, they reach a point where they say, you know what, we just can't do it. It's not logistically feasible.
What about camp? What are you hearing? I mean, you hear Governor DeSantis saying our state's open, yours is closed. What are the odds of the Giants? Where are they going to relocate training camp to? Because, like we just talked about, there's no way they can do it in New York.
I mean, it's still a ways off. So let's not just say that there's no way. Obviously, a lot has to happen, and we're still several weeks out. But with that said, I would think, and they would prefer to keep it within driving distance. Now, I don't know, maybe do they go back to Albany, which I think that part of the country or that part of New York State might be opening up again. I don't know. Do they go down to, I don't know, one of these southern states, like around the Delaware, Virginia area? Do they just say, you know what, let's pack it up and move out? But, Joe Judge had a good point. He said, look, right now, I don't think I would ask any of my players to get on an airplane. I certainly wouldn't even put my son on an airplane right now until, this thing gets under better control. But certainly the Giants organization, their operations people, they've been looking into different scenarios, different possibilities, and, weighing the pros and cons of the logistics that go behind it. And, it come the time training camps are supposed to open, and the majority of the states that have NFL teams are open for business. The Giants can't sit there and nor can the Jets, who also train in New Jersey. They can't both sit there and say, well, wait a minute, guys, we can't open up. They've got to have some kind of contingency plan in place. So yeah, I could see the Giants, if they need to, move out of state, though I know that's not their first preference.
Patricia, knowing the Giants the way you do, if this DeAndre Baker situation is as bad as it looks, is this just a bad break for Dave Gettleman, or is this something that you think gets held against him by ownership going forward?
I think it's just a bad break. I mean, look, let's face it. every business hires people to do a job. And a lot of those people, I think, come in and they have fairly clean records. And then what happens if something goes astray? One night somebody snaps and does something that, is just unexpected. I mean, is that the fault of the employer for not seeing it coming? I mean, is the employer supposed to be a fortune teller? Now, in the case of DeAndre Baker, let's be fair here. There were scouting reports that questioned the kid's work ethic. But with that said, there have been many players who have come into the Giants organization and also organizations around the NFL who have had red flags, if you will, against their work ethic and who have turned around and become productive and responsible players. So I don't think that you can necessarily sit there and hold this against Gettleman and say, well, he should have known. I don't think anybody could, how could he have known that DeAndre Baker would allegedly, been involved in something like this? He couldn't have. Nobody could have. So I can't see ownership holding that against Dave Gettleman. But with that said, considering that they did give up, they did trade up to get him. I think they gave up, I want to say 3 draft picks. No, it was 2. I'm sorry. It is a significant blow and a stain on his drafting record.
Patricia, thanks for your time. Continue to stay safe, and hopefully we can talk again come training camp, wherever that takes place.
Thank you, guys.
Patricia Traina covers the Giants, GiantsCountry.com, which is part of the Sports Illustrated Network, hosts a daily Giants podcast called Locked on Giants. Follow Patricia on Twitter at Patricia_Traina. It's funny, Gettleman's made a lot of moves, and more of them have worked out than not. But he's had some big misses, some big things go wrong. And do I think that this is in any way Dave Gettleman's fault? No. Do I think it could get held against him if they go 5-11 or worse? Yeah, I do, Mark. I do. Sometimes you just get a bad break as a GM. And when you spend a first-round pick on a guy who gives you one very bad season, I mean, DeAndre Baker ranked as one of the 10 worst corners in the league last year. But you're thinking, rookie, okay, he'll get better. We're bringing in better coaching on defense. We fired all our defensive coaches. He'll get coached up better. He'll be a better player for us. Yeah. And then you only get a year out of him because he allegedly commits 8 felonies. Yeah, I think that gets held against the GM, whether it should be or not.
There's no way it doesn't. There's just no way it doesn't, David. Right, because the GM could predict that this guy is that big of an idiot that after becoming a millionaire, he's going to go rob 4 people because he liked someone's watch.
Right. But it's a bad break for an organization that has the worst record in the league over the last 3 seasons. No team has won less games in the last 3 years than the New York Giants.
We probably should have said this at the start of the interview, but Patricia's tweet last night after this happened. Wow, I'm reading this affidavit. I know the justice system has to play out, but my gosh, this has left me speechless.
I think her first tweet was it oh no or oh boy?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. She retweeted the TMZ sports story with uh-oh.
Uh-oh.